Oh, hi there. My name is Ron Rogers, and I am going to talk about blizzards, the not fun part of airline flying from a pilot's perspective. Now, I know as those of you who are passengers, yeah, you get into weather delay once in a while. Sometimes you get caught in a blizzard. Well, I've been caught in many blizzards, and I'm going to tell you about my very first one as a brand new 737 captain. Now, back in the day, the 737 was our captain entry airplane. We've got some people who their first captain bid can be a wide body now because there's been such movement. But back in the day, you struggled to get a 737 as your initial captain bid. I'd hoped for a 27, but I ended up with a 37, and there's kind of a funny story there. But anyway, okay, I'm brand new captain. That first year of being a captain that's just the most fun part of the job. I was 25 years as a captain for United Airlines, and that first year is really the most fun you have as a captain because it's brand new and you're having a fun time, and it's neat to be the one in charge and stuff like that. And I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. But I'm going to tell you about this little trip to Rapid City, South Dakota. Now, Rapid City, South Dakota is a very straightforward airport. It's got one runway and it's got one terminal, and it's a nice little airport to fly in and out of, and it's it's one of those little kind of small airports, and you're right next to Mount Rushmore. It's a great layover, and I've got some funny layover stories too that I think I may have touched on another video. But anyway, it was a fun layover. Now, like I said, it's a small airport, and the yellow arrow there is the terminal. That's where everybody parks. And where that yellow arrow is typically where we parked for the United Airlines flight. Other airlines parked, around other jetways there. And the green arrow is the place I was taking off this day, or trying to take off this day. Now, Rapid City is actually a pretty cool airport. They put some money into it. It's nice, and they've got a nice little terminal there. Oh, but a little digression here. A very senior captain that I'd flown with, I'd been his co-pilot on the DC-10. He had a story about he got 2 letters of charge, which that is a thing from the company saying, "Oh, you did something not very nice here, and we want to talk to you about it." And he got 2 of them on the same day, and one of them was he was coming into land. Now, the yellow arrow depicts the airplane he was in. The red arrow depicts a Ellsworth Air Force Base, and we typically don't land at Air Force bases unless there's a charter or something, but it happens to be in line when you're coming in to the southeast here with the Rapid City Regional Airport. And there are a number of airports like this where you've got 2 runways in a row. Topeka, Kansas, I think, is one, and when you come into Omaha, there's Council Bluffs, I think, in line, and people have landed at the wrong airport. And I got a slight digression on the digression because one time a little commuter aircraft landed at Council Bluffs by mistake, and the captain got on the PA and said, "Well, folks, we've landed so far from the gate that we're going to take off and fly closer to the gate and land again." Well, that going from the Council Bluffs to Omaha, that didn't fly. He didn't get away with that. But anyway, this captain's flying, and it's his trip, and he's letting the co-pilot fly, and they're coming into Rapid City, and they just break out of the clouds in roughly the position I show you there, and the co-pilot flying says, "Oh, I've got the runway," and he starts diving towards Ellsworth. Well, that was not a good thing. Of course, before the captain could kind of come in and intervene, the Ellsworth had been aware that there was an airplane that had kind of gotten in their airspace, and that was not a very good thing. But that's my first digression here. But let's go back to the situation with my departure out of Rapid City. Okay, 737 there. Okay, I know this is not Rapid City. Okay, those airplanes, I can't blank them out. That's anybody who knows that's San Francisco, but it's a picture of a 737 in the paint style we flew at the gate. So don't look at all those other DC-10s in the background. They're not there. This is Rapid City, okay? But we were going out there, and it was not a good day. The weather was moving in, and we were flying Rapid City to Chicago. So okay, let's get out there. Let's get going. Let's get this flight off, and let's get out of town and get to Chicago, and everything will be fine. Well, of course, the airplane has a little bit of ice on it now. It's not this bad, but it was starting, the weather was starting to move in, and I sent my co-pilot out to take a quick look. And she comes and says there was a lot of snow in the inlet of the engine. I said, okay, I'll tell the de-icing guy and he'll take care of that. She said there was also a lot of snow in the tailpipe. And I go, okay, I'm not as worried about the tailpipe. I really am not, because I think when we start the engine, that'll kind of take care of that issue. So, the intake is one thing. Although it was light snow, it probably wouldn't be a problem. But don't worry about the exhaust. That'll be just fine. And I felt bad for the poor guy doing the de-icing there, because he didn't have a nice cage like this. He actually was in the old style where he's out there in the open. He's in a basket, and he was coming around the front after he got the airplane de-iced with the basket. Okay, we get the whole thing, and don't pay attention to that Lufthansa. It's hard to get good slides at times. I didn't have my camera out. We didn't have phones. But anyway, he's out there with this hose, and he's pulling the hose just himself to get some of the stuff in the front. And the wind is starting to pick up, and it's blowing the snow, and we are getting in the first parts of the blizzard. And I felt so bad about this guy, because he's leaning into the wind. You can see him leaning into the wind, and it's just hitting him hard. Well, we get the airplane de-iced, and I said, yeah, we need to get out of here. This thing's coming. Okay, so we start taxiing out, and it's not looking good. I'm having a little trouble. It's a typical. We're starting to have snow obscure the taxiways, and it's a pretty straightforward taxi. So I'm not really going to get lost. But it's there's a lot of snow, and it's just not looking good at all. And I'm taxiing out there, and there's just a lot of difficulty taxiing, and it's getting worse and worse. Okay, so I get on the runway now. Okay, this is a digression. You notice I was talking about this was a whole daylight situation. Well, this is a night slide of snow on the runway. Okay, it's the best I could do. I'm sorry. I need a bigger budget or something. But anyway, I get on the runway, and we're supposed to have 1,400 feet of visibility, quarter mile, to see. Because it's the way the rules are laid out with the type of lighting you had. Sometimes we can take off in 300 feet visibility, like at O'Hare with the great centerline lightings and stuff like that. But you get these little airports that don't have the good lighting systems, and it's a quarter of a mile, so it's 1,400 feet. Well, the runway lights are 200 feet apart, so 14 divided by 2 is 7. So I need to get out there, and I need to count that I can see 7 runway lights. Well, I'm sitting there, and I can see 2 runway lights. Oh, the digression. Okay, it's a night slide. If you're a fan of really campy science fiction movies like Plan 9 from Outer Space, there's a chase scene there where they go from night to day to night. It's just hilarious. And they use a Chrysler hubcap, and you can actually see the string, and it spins and it wobbles, and it's just a hilarious show to watch. It's of the genre of the campy science fiction, but I digress there. Okay, so I get on the runway, and they had been calling, Tower had been calling half-mile visibility, and I go, what? I said, Tower, I don't have a half-mile visibility. I got like 400 feet here. And I said, what's going on here? And they said, well, that comes from Flight Service Station over quite a ways away. We actually in the tower, our windows are all ice covered and snow covered, and we can't see a thing. So we're just going on what the Flight Service says. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, you do not have a half-mile visibility. You got about 400 feet here, and it's getting worse. So I said, hey, we can't take off. We got to go back to the gate. So I taxi off the runway, I taxi back to the gate, and there is a Continental airplane behind me, and he's an ATR 72, I believe it was, 42 or 72, I don't exactly remember, but he says, well, let me take a look at it, so and the funny thing is, we later got together and talked, and he said, oh, I thought you were being one of those wussy, jet airline pilots who is just being too cautious, and I said, I got on the runway, and I started sliding sideways, and I couldn't see what was going on, so he says, so he taxied back with me. Okay, well, it's not looking good. We stayed at the Hilton there in Rapid City, South Dakota. So I called them up and I said, "Hey, we're going to need to come back. Two pilots, three flight attendants. We're going to need some rooms back because we're not getting out of here." And they said, "Well, there's a slight issue." Okay, here's the road. As you can see in the bottom right, that's the Rapid City. And up on the far upper left is the hotel. And they had sent the van out to pick some other people out who had arrived a little bit early before this whole thing had started. And he said, "Well, the van is off the road in the ditch. And that's our only van. So I'm not quite sure what's going to happen here. So you're going to have to hold tight at the airport for a while." All right, so like I said, it was a nice airport. We went out. We went into the little restaurant there. We sat down and we had some breakfast and coffee. And then the Continental crew come in and he says, "Yeah, I thought the story of you jet pilots are wusses and that." And he told me what happened to him, and we kind of laughed about that. And he didn't think I was quite, I guess, such a wuss. But anyway, okay, we go back to the hotel. Now this is a nice hotel. And we're waiting for the blizzard to go away. Well, there's a lot of considerations on the blizzard. Getting the airplane in, getting the airplane out, coordinating it, and the runway was essentially snowed and iced in for quite a while, and the weather was quite a mess. And I've actually been snowed in at Denver for a few days, and they've got the capabilities to remove snow, so you know how bad blizzards can be in Denver, but. We were there for 5 days. And that can be interesting. You get to know the people at the snack bar and the regular bar, and you get to know them personally in the names. But hotel rooms get old really, really quickly. And the weather was bad, and a lot of things were closed down. Rapid City has a nice little town there, and you can go up to Mount Rushmore, but everything was closed down. The roads were just snowed in and everything, so we were kind of stuck. And it's a nice hotel, but after a couple of days, the same hotel with you get through the reading material you bought, and of course they've got a little gym, but after a while those of you who have been, traveling for many length of time know that, some hotels have just fantastic facilities. I mean, the Hilton in Washington, D.C., the hotel we stayed at in Beijing, a lot of the international hotels just have clubs that rival, health facilities that rival, many of these pay-for club type of things. But typically, I've been in some where you've got one broken down bicycle and one or two barbells, and that's about it. I don't think this club was even as nice as this picture now. Back in the day, it wasn't as nice. But all good things come to an end. We gathered the crew together. We said goodbye to the various people in the hotel that we'd gotten to know fairly well, and it was time to go back to Chicago. So away we went. Well, I hope you found that interesting and a little bit of the life of pilots stuck in a blizzard. Thanks for watching.